The female treehole mosquito lays eggs inside tree holes and other types of containers that can hold water, such as cans, buckets, flower pots, and discarded tires. When first laid, the small, cigar-shaped eggs are soft and white. After a few hours, they harden and darken. The eggshell provides protection for the embryo developing within, which may survive for a year or more until conditions are appropriate for hatching. When it rains and the eggs are covered with water, the larvae in the eggs begin to hatch. The female treehole mosquito may lay up to 150 eggs at one time. During her lifespan of 30 days, she may lay 4 to 5 batches of eggs. One female treehole mosquito is capable of laying up to 1,000 eggs during her brief lifetime. The hatching process is very slow. The larva pushes off the cap of the egg and gradually works its head out of the small opening. The hatching process may take up to 2 minutes per egg. Once the head is out, the rest of the worm-like body quickly escapes the eggshell. The mosquito larva is aquatic. It lives in the water and swims very actively. Because of their characteristic swimming motion, mosquito larvae are often called wrigglers. The treehole mosquito spends about 10 to 14 days in the larval stage. The body of the larva consists of the dark brown head, the thorax, and the abdomen. The dark spot on the side of the head is the eye, and next to it are the mouth brushes. The small, swollen, round segment just behind the head is the thorax. Behind the thorax is the long, slender abdomen. The larva functions as a food collector and has a well-developed digestive system. The larva feeds on bacteria, algae, and other organic materials suspended as small particles in the water. Mosquito larvae feed almost constantly, using the fine mouth brushes to obtain their food. The particles are filtered out as the rapidly moving brushes pass through the water. Particles accumulating on the brushes are then eaten. Like all insects, as the larvae feed and grow, they molt or shed their skin as they become bigger. Though the mosquito larva lives in water, it breathes air. At the tip of the abdomen is a specialized breathing structure called the siphon, which is a hollow tube that penetrates through the water's surface. The larva breathes air through the siphon just like a skin diver uses a snorkel. After the mosquito larva has reached a large enough size, it transforms from the wriggling, worm-like larva to the pupa stage. The pupa also lives in the water, and, like the larva, it also breathes air. The pupa gets air through a pair of tubes called trumpets that penetrate through the water's surface. You can see the trumpets touching the surface of the water on the top of the pupa. Also like the larva, the pupa swims actively in the water. Instead of a wriggling motion, the pupae appear to be tumbling through the water as they flick the abdomen. Because of this swimming motion, mosquito pupae are often called tumblers. Unlike the mosquito larva, the pupa does not feed. During the pupal stage, the larval body is being transformed into the adult form. If you look closely at the pupa, you can see some of the structures of the adult mosquito that are forming inside. The dark spot is the eye. The antenna is the small ridge that wraps around the top of the eye. The legs and wings are folded under the thorax, and the long, slender abdomen of the adult mosquito is behind the thorax. Having spent 3 to 4 days in the pupal stage, the fully formed adult mosquito is ready to emerge from the pupal skin. The pupa finds a quiet spot and rests just below the water's surface. It then begins to swallow air to increase the pressure inside the pupal skin, much like blowing up a balloon. It may take the pupa up to 2 to 3 minutes to inflate its skin. As the internal pressure increases, the pupal skin splits open along the top and the adult mosquito slowly emerges. As you can see, the adult mosquito's head emerges first with its fully developed wings on the left and the antenna on the right. The 6 legs are tucked neatly under its body, ready to unfold. This whole process takes about 5 minutes. After it is free of the pupal skin, the adult mosquito sits quietly on the surface of the water while its wings dry. After a few minutes, it is ready to fly away. The adult female treehole mosquito is larger than the male. One way to separate the sexes is by looking at the antennae. The female's antennae have few hairs, while the antennae of the male are very bushy and feathery. Only the female mosquito sucks blood, which she uses to make the many eggs she will lay later. The female mosquito locates a blood meal host by smell and vision. After flying to the host and finding a suitable place to land, she begins the feeding process. First, she inserts a hollow, needle-like feeding tube into the skin. The feeding tube is called the stylets. She probes around in the skin with the stylets, searching for a small blood vessel. The stylets are pushed in and pulled out repeatedly as the female tries to locate a source of blood. The sheath-like labium folds back, exposing the stylets as they are inserted into the skin. While the female mosquito is probing for a blood vessel, she is injecting saliva into the skin. The saliva contains an anesthetic, so you don't feel the bite. It also contains other substances, like anticoagulants, that prevent the blood from clotting and clogging up the very fine feeding tube, and other substances that make the blood feeding process easier. More importantly, if the female mosquito is infected with a virus or parasite, she may inject these disease-causing agents along with the saliva. When the female locates a small blood vessel, muscular pumps in the head begin pumping blood into the stomach. The stomach stretches to hold the very large blood meal. A female mosquito can consume about 5 times her weight in blood. The feeding process takes about 3 minutes. When full, she pulls out the stylets and flies away. After she finishes feeding, she will find a quiet place to digest the blood and develop a batch of eggs. In about 3 days, she will find a tree hole or other container in which to lay her eggs, and will be ready to take another blood meal.